So tell me, sweetheart, what's your rank? Or are you just here to polish our rifles? Admiral Victor Kane's mockery slices through Fort Davidson's firing range. 6 officers laugh behind him, circling the woman like wolves. She doesn't flinch, just keeps cleaning her M110 sniper rifle with hands that have killed 847 times. 28 years old, no rank insignia, storm gray eyes that have seen hell and walked out. Kane leans closer, expecting fear. He gets nothing. 800 meters, sir, she says quietly, requesting her target distance. The laughter explodes. Brooks slaps his knee. This'll be entertaining. What they don't know, they just humiliated Death Angel, the ghost who saved Kane's life. 5 years ago, the daughter of the man they murdered, and the sniper who never ever misses. The woman sets down the bolt carrier with the same careful precision she's used for every movement since Kane and his entourage arrived. Her fingers show no tremor, no hesitation. Just the kind of steady control that comes from muscle memory drilled so deep it doesn't require thought anymore. No rank to report, sir, she says quietly. Just here to shoot. Lieutenant Brooks, 32, lean, tanned, second in command, written in every cocky angle of his stance, steps up beside the Admiral. He crosses his arms, lips curling. Maybe she doesn't speak English, sir. Probably just facilities maintenance. You know how it is, they let anyone on the range these days for cleanup duty. The other officers chuckle. One of them, a junior lieutenant with academy shine, still clinging to his uniform, nudges his buddy. $10 says she can't even load that thing properly. 20 says she's never fired anything bigger than a 9mm. The woman keeps her hands moving. Cloth in small circles across the receiver. Each movement economical, practiced. She doesn't rise to the bait. Doesn't defend herself, doesn't explain. Just keeps cleaning. Behind the firing line, near the range control tower, Rangemaster Ellis turns his head. 62 years old, spine still straight, despite the years' face weathered like desert stone. He's been running this range for 15 years, seen every type of shooter the military produces. Olympic marksmen, spec ops veterans, Marine Scout snipers with 20 years of trigger time. His eyes narrow as he watches her breathing pattern. 4 counts in, 4 counts held, 4 counts out. His jaw tightens. He's seen that pattern before, in very specific places, under very specific circumstances. Kane leans down, voice dropping to that particular tone senior officers use when they want to sound patient, but are actually deeply annoyed. Look at me when I'm talking to you. The woman's hands still for just a heartbeat. Then she sets down the cleaning cloth beside the bolt carrier. When she finally raises her head, her eyes meet Kane's stare without flinching, without anger, without any readable emotion at all. No rank to report, sir. Just here to shoot. Brooks snorts. Just here to shoot. You hear that, Admiral? She's just here to shoot. He turns to the others. Hope she's got someone to hold her hand on the trigger. Recoil on these babies can be rough if you don't know what you're doing. Maybe we should spot for her, another officer suggests, grinning. Make sure she doesn't hurt herself, or embarrass the Corps. Ellis shifts his weight hand, moving unconsciously toward the radio at his belt. He doesn't key it. Not yet. But his attention is locked on her now. The way she's breathing. 4-4-4. Combat breathing. Box breathing. The kind they drill into you in very particular training pipelines. The kind most people don't know exist. He glances at her hands again. The grip she had on that bolt carrier index and middle finger positioned exactly where they needed to be for a speed reassembly in low-light conditions. He swallows hard. Kane straightens hands on hips. You're cleared to be on this range. Yes, sir. And you're planning to shoot today? Yes, sir. At what distance? For the first time, something flickers across her face. Not quite a smile. More like the shadow of one gone before it fully forms. 800 meters, sir. The laughter that follows is immediate and loud. Brooks actually slaps his knee. 800 right. Okay. He looks at Kane. Sir, with all due respect, I'd like to see this. For educational purposes. I think we could all use a good laugh after the morning briefings. Kane's expression doesn't change, but there's a glint in his eye. Amusement, maybe, or something harder. By all means, Lieutenant. Let's see what our mystery shooter can do. He gestures toward the firing line. Please show us your skills. The woman stands without using her hands, rising in one smooth motion from cross-legged to standing. Her uniform is standard issue, slightly faded from washing. No name tape, no unit patch, nothing to identify her beyond the basic fact that she's military. She picks up the rifle, already reassembled, checks the chamber with a glance that takes less than a second, and walks to lane 7. Ellis is already moving toward that lane before he consciously decides to. His boots carry him closer, angling for a better view. Something is crawling up his spine. Recognition, maybe? Or warning? The woman settles into position at the bench rifle resting on the sandbag support. Her posture is textbook perfect. Left hand under the forend, right hand on the grip, body squared behind the weapon. She makes one small adjustment to the rear bag, shifting it a fraction of an inch. Then she goes still. Brooks leans against the tower railing, arms crossed. Somebody get her some extra ammo. She's going to need a lot of practice rounds to even get on paper at that distance. Does she even know where the safety is? Someone asks. Probably thinks the scope is a telescope, another voice chimes in. Kane stands with his hands clasped behind his back, watching. His face is unreadable now. All the amusement has drained away, replaced by something else. Weariness, perhaps, or the beginning of a very different kind of attention. The woman doesn't react to any of it. She just breathes. 444. Her finger stays outside the trigger guard. Range discipline. Perfect. Textbook. She reaches up, makes a minor adjustment to the scope's parallax dial, another adjustment to the windage. Her movements are small, precise. The kind of adjustment someone makes when they've done this thousands of times. Ellis is 10 feet away now, close enough to see her grip, the way her thumb rests along the receiver, the angle of her cheek against the stock. His heart starts beating faster. He knows this posture. He's seen it in exactly 2 places in his entire career, and both of those places are classified above his clearance level. Whenever you're ready, Kane calls out, voice dripping with false courtesy. We haven't got all day. The woman's breathing changes. 3 cycles. In hold out. In hold out. In hold out. On the 4th cycle, at the bottom of the exhale, when her lungs are at their emptiest and her body is at its stillest, her finger moves to the trigger. The first shot breaks clean. The rifle barks once recoil absorbed smoothly into her shoulder. She doesn't flinch, doesn't pull her head off the scope, just works the bolt chambers. The next round settles, breathes. Second shot, same rhythm. Bolt, chamber, settle, breathe, fire. Third shot, 4th shot, 5th shot. Total elapsed time from 1st to 5th 18 seconds. Ellis doesn't need to check the target monitor. He already knows. But he looks anyway, pulling the spotting scope to his eye and ranging downfield to the 800-meter mark. The target is a standard silhouette, black on white. Concentric scoring rings. In the exact center, where the highest value zone sits, there are 5 holes. 5 perfect holes clustered so tight they almost overlap. Bullseye. Every single one. He lowers the scope slowly. His hands are shaking just slightly, but enough that he has to clench them to make it stop. Brooks has gone quiet. The other officers too. They're staring at the monitor screen mounted on the tower showing the automated camera feed of the target. The computer's scoring system is displaying the results in bright green numbers. 5 shots, 5 tens. Perfect score, 800 meters, 18 seconds. Kane's jaw is tight. He steps closer to the screen as if proximity will change what he's seeing. "Check the equipment," he says quietly. "Make sure the rangefinder is calibrated correctly." "Sir, it's calibrated every morning," Ellis replies, voice rough. "That's protocol. It's accurate." "Check it anyway." One of the junior officers jogs out to the 800-meter line handheld laser rangefinder in hand. He takes 3 readings, then radios back. "Distance confirmed, sir. 800 meters plus or minus .5. Brooks is staring at the woman now. She's sitting back from the rifle hands, resting loose in her lap. Face still neutral, still calm, like she just did something completely ordinary. He clears his throat. "Lucky shots. Wind must have been favorable, or maybe the scope is just really high-end." He pauses. "What kind of glass are you running?" She doesn't answer, just looks at him with those storm water eyes. "I asked you a question," Brooks says, voice sharper now. "Standard issue, Leopold," she says. "Same as everyone else." "No way. No way someone shoots like that with standard gear." Brooks looks at Kane. "Sir, I'd like to inspect her rifle. Make sure there's no unauthorized modifications. Laser sights, stabilizers, anything that might give an unfair advantage." Kane nods once. "Do it." Brooks moves toward lane 7, hand outstretched. The woman watches him come, but doesn't move to stop him. He picks up the rifle, turns it over in his hands. Checks the scope, mounts the trigger assembly, the barrel. His face grows progressively tighter as he finds nothing. Nothing except a well-maintained, completely standard-issue M110 with a Leopold Mark IV scope. No tricks, no modifications, just a rifle. He sets it down harder than necessary. "Fine, so you can shoot. Doesn't mean anything. One good string doesn't make you a sniper. Could have been luck. Wind. Anything." Ellis steps forward before he can stop himself. "Lieutenant, that wasn't luck." His voice carries across the range. Several heads turn. "Range Master Ellis, stand down." Kane interrupts, voice flat. "Thank you for your input." Ellis's mouth closes, but his eyes stay locked on the woman. She meets his gaze for just a moment. Something passes between them. Recognition, maybe. Or warning. Then she looks away, turning her attention back to the rifle. Kane walks slowly to lane 7, boot heels clicking on concrete. He stops beside the bench, arms still crossed, studying her like she's a puzzle he needs to solve. "Where did you train?" "Various locations, sir." That's not an answer. "It's the only answer I'm authorized to give, sir." Brooks makes a disgusted noise. "You're not authorized. You don't have clearance. You're just some nobody who got lucky with a rifle." He leans in closer. "Probably had someone teach you. Probably practiced this exact range, this exact setup so you could show off. I've seen it before. People memorizing one trick to impress the brass." The woman doesn't respond, just starts breaking down the rifle again, hands moving through the disassembly sequence without needing to look. Muscle memory. Kane's eyes narrow. "If you're really as good as that one string suggests, you'll have no problem demonstrating it again, under more rigorous conditions." She pauses. Bolt carrier halfway out. "What conditions, sir?" "Official qualification test. Tomorrow morning, 0800. Different range, different distance time limit. The works." He leans down, voice dropping. "If you pass, you get certified. If you fail, you're off my range permanently. And I'll make sure everyone knows you were just a one-hit wonder." "Sir, with respect, I'm not trying to impress anyone." "Then you won't mind proving it." Kane straightens. 0800. Bring your own gear. And if you're thinking about backing out, don't bother showing up at all. I don't have time for people who waste my resources. Brooks grins. This is going to be fun. I'll make sure to bring a camera. For the records, of course. The officers drift away, voices rising again in speculation and jokes. Ellis stays where he is, 20 feet back, watching. The woman finishes disassembling the rifle, lays each piece in its foam-lined case with care, and closes the lid. She stands, picks up the case, and turns to leave. As she passes Ellis, she slows just for a second. Her eyes flick to his face, and in that brief moment he sees something that makes his blood run cold. Not anger, not fear, just a kind of tired patience, like someone who's been waiting a very long time for something inevitable to happen. "Rangemaster," she says quietly. Just those 2 words. Then she's walking away, boots kicking up small clouds of dust. Ellis watches her go until she's out of sight. Then he pulls out his radio and switches to the encrypted command channel. His hand is shaking again. "Control, this is Rangemaster Ellis. I need to flag something, off record." The response crackles back. "Go ahead, Ellis." He hesitates, glancing around to make sure no one is in earshot. "That shooter who just cleared 800 meters in under 20 seconds. 5 perfect 10s. He stops, swallows. "I think—" He pauses again. "I think we need to run her prints, quietly, because if she's who I think she is, we have a serious situation on our hands." "Copy that. Send me her lane number and timestamp. We'll look into it." Ellis lowers the radio, staring at the empty lane 7. The sandbags still hold the impression of the rifle. The brass casings are still on the ground, gleaming in the late afternoon sun. 5 perfect shots, 18 seconds, 800 meters. He's been doing this job for 15 years. He's seen Olympic shooters, Spec Ops veterans, Marine Scout snipers with 20 years of experience. None of them, not one, has ever shot a group that tight at that distance under pressure. Not unless they were part of something very, very different. He thinks about the way she breathed. 444. He thinks about the grip, the posture, the way her eyes stayed flat and calm when 6 officers were tearing into her. The way she didn't rise to any of it, didn't defend herself, didn't explain, just took it like someone who's been through worse, much worse. Like someone who knows that words don't matter when the target is 800 meters downrange. Ellis picks up one of the spent casings, turns it over in his palm. Standard Lake City brass. Nothing special. Nothing modified. Just a bullet that went exactly where it was supposed to go. He pockets it almost without thinking and heads back toward the control tower. His mind is racing now, connecting dots he doesn't want to connect. Dots that form a picture he really doesn't want to see. Because if she's who he thinks she is, then Admiral Kane just made the worst mistake of his career. And tomorrow morning when she shows up for that qualification test, things are going to get very complicated. Very fast. Fort Davidson Administrative Building. 17:15 hours. Lieutenant Brooks sits in the small office he shares with 2 other junior officers. Laptop open, coffee going cold beside his elbow. He's been staring at the same screen for 10 minutes, watching the range footage on repeat. The woman. The rifle. 5 shots. 18 seconds. Every single one dead center. The timestamp in the corner reads 15:47:22 to 15:47:40. 18 seconds. "That doesn't make sense," he mutters. He rewinds it again, watches her settle into position, watches the rifle barely move with each shot, watches her work the bolt like she's done it 10,000 times, which he realizes with growing unease she probably has. Nobody shoots like that without serious trigger time, serious training, the kind of training that doesn't show up in a standard enlistment record. The door opens, and one of his roommates walks in, dropping a gear bag on the floor with a heavy thud. "You still watching that? Let it go, man. She got lucky." "Lucky?" Brooks doesn't look away from the screen. 5 shots, 800 meters, 18 seconds, all 10s. That's not luck, Jensen. Jensen shrugs, pulling off his boots. "So she's good. Big deal. Plenty of good shooters in the military. Not that good. Not at that distance. Not that fast." Brooks finally tears his eyes away from the laptop. "I've been doing this for 8 years. I qualified expert marksman 3 years running. My best time at 800 meters is 32 seconds for 5 shots. And I was happy with that. She did it in 18. And her group was tighter than mine ever was. So she's better than you. Happens. Get over it." But Brooks can't get over it. Because there's something else bothering him. Something he can't quite put his finger on. The way she moved. The way she breathed. The way she didn't react when Kane and the others were riding her. Like she'd heard worse. Like she'd survived worse. Like public humiliation was just background noise compared to wherever she'd been before. He closes the laptop, leans back in his chair. "I'm going to check her gear tomorrow, before the test. Make sure everything's regulation. Dude, Kane already said, I know what Kane said, but I want to see it myself. Something's off. She's too good. Too calm. It doesn't add up." Jensen gives him a long look. "You know what your problem is? You can't stand that some random woman just rolled up and outshot you in front of the Admiral. That's what this is about." "That's not." Brooks stops himself. Maybe Jensen's right. Maybe he is just bitter. But it doesn't change the facts. Nobody shoots like that without a story, without a history. And whatever her history is, she's keeping it locked down tight. No name tape, no rank, no unit patch. Just a uniform and a rifle, and skills that don't match the blank slate she's presenting. He stands, grabs his jacket. "I'm going to run her through the system, see what comes up." "You don't even have her name." "I've got her face. I've got the time and date she was on the range. That's enough." Brooks heads for the door, then pauses. "And if I'm right, if she's hiding something, then tomorrow's test is going to get real interesting." Jensen just shakes his head, pulling out his phone. "Whatever, man. Let me know when you find out she's just a really talented enlisted with a chip on her shoulder. I'll laugh at you then." Brooks leaves without responding. The hallway is empty fluorescent lights humming overhead. He takes the stairs 2 at a time, heading down to the ground floor where the admin offices are. Personnel records, security clearances, service histories. Everything's digitized now, stored in databases that cross-reference with every branch of the military. If she's legit, she'll be in there. And if she's not, well, that's a different problem entirely. He swipes his ID card at the door to the personnel office. It's after hours, but his clearance gets him in. The room is dark, except for the glow of a single monitor left on standby. He sits down at the nearest terminal, logs in with his credentials, and pulls up the range access logs from today. Scrolls through until he finds Lane 7, timestamp 15:45 to 16:00. The entry is there, but the name field is blank. Just a notation walk-on, cleared by Range Master Ellis. Brooks frowns. Walk-ons are supposed to show ID. That's protocol. How did she get on the range without logging a name? He switches to the security camera. Feeds finds the angle covering the sign-in desk at the range entrance. Rewinds to 15:30. There. She's walking up to the desk, handing something to the clerk. The clerk looks at it, types something into the computer, then waves her through. The whole interaction takes less than 30 seconds. He zooms in on her hand. She's holding some kind of card, but the resolution isn't good enough to make out details. Could be a standard military ID. Could be something else. The clerk's screen is angled away from the camera, so there's no way to see what was entered into the system. Dead end. Brooks sits back, frustrated. He's missing something. Some piece of information that would explain who she is and why she's here. He thinks about the way Range Master Ellis reacted, the way the old man went quiet after seeing her shoot, the way he called something in on the encrypted channel. Brooks saw him do it, saw the way Ellis moved away from everyone else before keying his radio, like he didn't want anyone overhearing. Ellis knows something. Brooks is sure of it, and tomorrow before that test starts, he's going to find out what.
Patronus-a-man.
Range Master's office, 1745 hours. Ellis sits at his desk, hands folded, staring at the phone. It rang 20 minutes ago. The conversation lasted less than 5 minutes. 5 minutes that changed everything. The voice on the other end had been calm professional, the kind of voice that doesn't waste words. Rangemaster Ellis, this is Colonel Vance G2. We've processed the inquiry you sent up this afternoon. The individual in question is cleared to be on your range. Beyond that, I can't tell you anything else. Do you understand? Sir, I need to know. You need to know that she's cleared. That's all. Do not run her prints, do not flag her access, do not discuss this conversation with anyone outside of secure channels. Are we clear, Rangemaster? Ellis had swallowed hard. Yes, sir, clear. Good. And Ellis, if she shoots tomorrow, let her shoot. Don't interfere. That's an order. The line had gone dead before Ellis could respond. Now he sits in the quiet of his office, trying to process it. G2. Intelligence. They don't get involved in range operations. They don't call down to installations like Fort Davidson unless something significant is happening, something that crosses into the world of need to know and above your clearance level. She's not just some talented shooter. She's something else, something protected, something that makes full-bird colonels call down from intelligence shops to tell range masters to stand down and shut up. Ellis opens his desk drawer, pulls out the spent casing he pocketed earlier, turns it over in his fingers. Standard brass. But the way she shot it, the precision, the speed, that's not standard. That's something else entirely. He thinks about the tattoo he almost saw when she was reassembling the rifle. Her sleeve rode up just slightly, just enough for him to catch a glimpse of ink on her forearm. Dark lines. Geometric. He didn't get a good look, but it was there. And if he's right about who she is, the tattoo is going to tell a very specific story. Tomorrow morning, when she shows up for the qualification test, things are going to get complicated. Because Admiral Kane doesn't know what he's walking into. And Brooks, with his bruised ego and his need to prove something, is going to push. Push hard. And when you push someone like her, someone with that kind of training, that kind of history, you don't get the reaction you expect. You get something much worse. Ellis sets the casing down, picks up his phone, and scrolls through his contacts. Finds a name he hasn't called in 3 years. Master Sergeant Lynn. Retired. Living about 40 minutes away in Mesa. Lynn was JSOC. Spent 20 years in places that don't appear on maps, doing things that don't appear in after-action reports. If anyone can confirm what Ellis suspects, it's him. He hits dial. The phone rings twice before a gravelly voice answers. Ellis, this is a surprise. Lynn, I need to ask you something. Off the record. A pause. Go ahead. If I describe a shooter to you, female, late 20s, no visible rank or unit identification, shoots 5 perfect 10s at 800 meters in under 20 seconds with standard gear, what would you tell me? Another pause. Longer, this time. When Lynn speaks again, his voice has changed. Gone flat. Careful. I'd tell you to stop asking questions and walk away. That's what I thought. Ellis, listen to me. If you've got someone like that on your range, you do your job and nothing else. You don't dig, you don't speculate. You definitely don't get in the way. Kane's pushing her. Scheduled a qualification test tomorrow. Public. He's going to try to embarrass her. Lynn curses quietly. Then Kane's an idiot, and you need to be ready for things to go sideways. How sideways? The kind of sideways that ends with people asking questions you can't answer. The kind that gets flagged all the way up to the Pentagon if it goes wrong. Lynn pauses. Ellis, I'm serious. If she's who I think she is, you're not dealing with some enlisted shooter looking to prove a point. You're dealing with someone who's been through the worst this world has to offer and came out the other side. And if Kane pushes too hard, Lynn stops himself. Just be ready. That's all I'm saying. The line goes dead. Ellis sets the phone down slowly. His hands are shaking again. He looks at the casing one more time, then drops it back in the drawer and locks it. Tomorrow morning, 0800 hours, lane 3, qualification test, different range, different conditions, all the pressure Kane can bring to bear, and somewhere out there the woman with no name and stormwater eyes is preparing. Not worried, not nervous, just preparing. Because whatever Kane thinks is going to happen tomorrow, he's wrong. Dead wrong. Ellis stands, turns off the desk lamp, and heads for the door. As he walks out into the cooling evening air, he says a quiet prayer. Not for the woman. She doesn't need it. For Kane, because tomorrow morning the Admiral is going to learn a very hard lesson about assumptions. And that lesson is going to come at 800 meters delivered in under 20 seconds. Temporary quarters. Building 12. 2200 hours. The room is small. Cinder block walls painted institutional beige. Single bed. Metal locker. Desk and chair bolted to the floor. Standard temporary billeting for transient personnel. The woman sits at the desk, laptop, open screen, casting blue-white light across her face. She's not looking at the screen, though. She's looking at her hands. At the faint scar tissue on her knuckles barely visible in the dim light, at the calluses on her fingertips from years of trigger time, at the line on her left ring finger where a piece of shrapnel once embedded itself deep enough to require field surgery. Each mark tells a story. Each scar is a chapter in a book most people will never read. Her sleeve is rolled up now. No reason to hide it when she's alone. The tattoo runs from mid-forearm to just below the elbow. Scope reticle. Crosshairs. The number 847 in clean, precise digits. Below that, smaller text, Death Angel. And dates 2018 to 2021. The ink is military grade, done by someone who knew what they were doing. It's not decorative. It's documentary. A record. Evidence. She traces the outline with one finger, feeling the slight raised texture where the ink sits under the skin. 847, she whispers. Not all of them were bad people. Some were just unlucky. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong side of someone else's war. But they all had one thing in common. They were targets. Designated, confirmed, eliminated. She did her job every single time. The laptop chimes softly. New email. She glances at the screen. No sender name, just an encrypted address that resolves to a string of alphanumerics. She opens it, enters the decryption key from memory, and reads. Situation developing as expected. Kane took the bait. Test scheduled for 0800. Brooks is digging. Ellis knows more than he's saying. Proceed to phase 2. Reveal only when forced. Package delivery confirmed for 23 and 30 hours. Good luck, Captain. She closes the email, runs a 3-pass wipe on the message, and shuts the laptop. Captain. It's been a long time since anyone called her that to her face. 3 years, to be exact. 3 years since the bombing in Kabul, since the explosion that was supposed to kill her, since the 8 months in that basement room zip-tied to a chair, answering the same questions over and over while men with blank faces did things she still dreams about when sleep won't come. They thought they broke her. They were wrong. You can't break someone who's already decided they're dead. You can hurt them. You can make them scream. But you can't take away the core of who they are if they've already let go of everything else. She survived by being empty, by being nothing, by waiting. And then when they finally got careless when they left her alone for just 15 minutes because they thought she was too damaged to move, she killed 3 of them with a piece of rebar and walked out. Walked 12 miles through Taliban territory in the dark, barefoot, bleeding from a dozen places. Made it to a checkpoint manned by Pakistani border guards who almost shot her on sight. The SEALs who extracted her didn't ask questions. They just loaded her onto the helo, wrapped her in a shock blanket, and flew her out. The debrief came later. The medical treatment. The psych evals. The decision made somewhere far above her pay grade that Captain Vera Cross was too compromised to return to active duty. That her identity was burned. That for everyone's safety, including hers, she needed to disappear. So they disappeared her. New name, new records, new life. She became a ghost. In truth, not just in call sign, and for 3 years she lived quietly. Worked odd jobs, stayed off the grid, tried to figure out who she was when she wasn't Death Angel anymore. But then the intel came through. The same network that killed her father, the same people who tortured her. They were still operating, still embedded in military infrastructure, still selling information, sabotaging operations, getting good people killed for profit. And one of their next targets was Admiral Victor Kane. Not because he was dirty, because he was about to testify before a closed congressional hearing about procurement fraud and intelligence leaks, because he knew too much. Because 8 years ago, he and Brigadier General David Cross had been partners in an investigation that almost exposed the whole network. An investigation that ended when David Cross died in a car bombing outside his home in Virginia. Vera was 13 years old when it happened. She watched the news footage of the burning wreckage, watched them carry her father out in pieces, watched her mother collapse at the funeral, watched the investigation get quietly shelved as mechanical failure, despite all the evidence pointing the other way. She learned early that the system doesn't always protect you. Sometimes it protects the people hurting you. And sometimes, if you want justice, you have to become something the system can't ignore. So she joined the military at 18, enlisted, worked her way through the ranks, proved herself over and over until they noticed, until JSOC came calling. Until she went to the places where the real war happens away from cameras and oversight. And every confirmed kill she made, every target she eliminated, she checked against the list. The list of names connected to her father's death. 23 of them scattered across her 847. 23 people who thought they were safe, who thought they'd gotten away with it. They were wrong. But the network is bigger than 23 people. It's bigger than she realized. And now, it's coming for Kane. Which means it's time to stop hiding. Time to use the one thing they don't know, that she's still alive. That Death Angel didn't die in Kabul. That she's here watching, waiting for them to make a mistake. And tomorrow morning when Kane tries to humiliate her in front of witnesses, when Brooks tries to catch her in some imagined fraud, when they push and prod and try to make her break, that's when they'll see. That's when the tattoo comes out. That's when the truth stops being hideable. Not because she wants recognition. Recognition is dangerous, but because Kane needs to know he's a target. Because Brooks needs to understand he's being used. Because the only way to stop what's coming is to flip the board and force everyone to see what's really happening. A knock at the door. 3 raps. Pause. 2 more. The delivery. Vera stands, crosses to the door, opens it a crack. A man in civilian clothes, mid-30s, blank expression. He hands her a small case, nods once, and walks away without a word. She closes the door, sets the case on the desk, opens it. Inside, a phone pre-programmed, encrypted, untraceable, and a single photograph. Admiral Kane leaving the base housing area. Date stamp from 2 hours ago. In the background, barely visible, a sedan with tinted windows. Same sedan that was parked outside her father's house the night before he died. She'd recognize it anywhere. Different plates. Different year, maybe. But the same model. The same configuration. The network's signature. They like consistency. She sets the photo aside, picks up the phone. It's already powered on, showing 1 contact, tower 4. She doesn't call. Not yet. First comes tomorrow. First comes the reveal. First comes the moment when Kane realizes what he's dealing with. Then the call. Then phase 3. Vera rolls her sleeve back down, covering the tattoo. She lies on the bed, hands behind her head, staring at the ceiling. Sleep won't come easy tonight. It never does before an operation. But that's fine. She's used to operating on no sleep. Used to functioning through pain, through fear, through everything the human body is supposed to shut down from. JSOC trained that out of her years ago. Tomorrow morning, 0800 hours. Kane and Brooks are going to try to break her. They're going to fail. And in the process of failing, they're going to set off a chain reaction they don't understand. A chain reaction that ends with the network exposed, the guilty punished, and justice, real justice, not the sanitized version, finally delivered. 847 confirmed kills. 23 of them for her father. The rest for her country, for her unit, for the mission. Tomorrow's not about adding to that count. Tomorrow's about making sure number 848 never happens. Making sure Kane lives long enough to testify. Making sure the people who killed David Cross don't get to kill anyone else. She closes her eyes. Breathes 444. The rhythm that's kept her alive through firefights and interrogations and 3 years of hiding. The rhythm that will carry her through tomorrow, through whatever comes after. Because she's not just a shooter. She's not just a soldier. She's a promise made in blood and kept in silence. A promise that the guilty will answer. That the dead will be avenged. That the system, for all its flaws, can still be forced to do the right thing if you're willing to pay the price. And Vera Cross has been paying that price for 16 years. Since the day her father died. Since the day she decided that some debts can only be settled one way, with patience, with precision, with the kind of cold, methodical determination that doesn't stop until the target is down and the mission is complete. Tomorrow morning, the mission continues. And Admiral Kane, whether he knows it or not, is about to become an asset. A protected asset. The kind that lives because someone else decided they were worth dying for. She hopes he's worth it. She really does. Because if this goes wrong, if the network figures out what she's doing before she can finish, then all of this, all 16 years, all 847 lives, will have been for nothing. But it won't go wrong. She won't let it. Death Angel doesn't miss. Not at 800 meters. Not at 800 yards. Not ever. The ceiling fan turns slowly overhead, blades cutting through the still air. Outside, footsteps pass in the hallway. Someone laughs. Someone else shouts something inaudible. Normal sounds. Normal life. The kind of life she used to have before she became this. Before the tattoo, before the list, before everything. Maybe when this is over, she can have that again. Maybe she can be Vera Cross, daughter and soldier, instead of Death Angel ghost and weapon. Maybe there's a version of her future that doesn't end in a dark room with zip ties and blank-faced men asking questions she'll never answer. Maybe. But first, tomorrow. First, the test. First, the reveal. First, the moment when Admiral Victor Kane looks at her arm and realizes he's not dealing with some random enlisted shooter. He's dealing with the woman who saved his life 5 years ago in a valley in Afghanistan. The woman who's been dead for 3 years. The woman who's about to tell him he's next on the list. Unless she stops it. And she will stop it. No matter what it takes. No matter who has to fall. The mission is all that matters. The mission is all she has left. Vera opens her eyes one last time, glances at the photograph on the desk. Kane. The sedan. The network closing in. She commits it to memory, then picks up the photo and tears it into small pieces, flushing them down the toilet in the small attached bathroom. Evidence destroyed, trail cleaned, everything exactly as it should be. Tomorrow, 0800 hours, Fort Davidson qualification range lane 3. Different setup. Different conditions. Same outcome. Because the only thing that changes is the distance. The principles stay the same. Breathe. Settle. Fire. Repeat until the target is down. Until the mission is complete. Until justice finally is served. She lies back down. This time, sleep comes. Not easy. Not peaceful. But it comes, and with it dreams. Not of the basement room, not of the interrogation, but of her father. Standing in their old kitchen, making breakfast, smiling, alive. The way he was before the bomb, before the network, before everything went wrong. In the dream, he looks at her and says, "I'm proud of you, Vera. Finish it." And she will. Starting tomorrow. Starting at 0800 hours. Starting with 5 perfect shots and one very surprised Admiral. The morning air carries the coolness of desert night not yet burned away by the coming sun. The qualification range sits isolated on the far side of Fort Davidson, designed for formal testing under observation. Concrete firing positions, standardized target arrays, camera systems covering every angle, nothing left to chance. Admiral Kane arrives early, 0730, with 4 officers, including Brooks. They set up observation positions with clear sight lines to lane 3. Brooks carries a thick clipboard, range regulations, equipment specifications, scoring criteria. He's been preparing since 0500, ensuring every detail gets documented, making certain that when she fails, it's recorded from every angle. Rangemaster Ellis stands near the control booth, face unreadable. He hasn't slept. Spent the night reviewing protocols, running scenarios, trying to figure out how to manage what's coming. Colonel Vance's orders were clear. Don't interfere. But Ellis knows when something is about to go wrong. And every instinct screams that this morning will be one of those times. By 0758, a crowd has gathered. Word spread overnight. The mystery shooter who embarrassed the Admiral. People want to see her fail, want confirmation that yesterday was luck, that the natural order where skill matches rank still holds. Brooks checks his watch. 2 minutes. Think she'll show? Kane doesn't answer, just stares at the entrance. Something about yesterday keeps nagging him. The breathing pattern, the absolute lack of reaction to pressure. He's seen that before, in very specific people, in places where call signs replace names and missions stay classified for 50 years. At exactly 0800 she walks through the gate, same uniform, no insignia, rifle case in one hand. She moves through the crowd like they're invisible, eyes fixed on lane 3, no hesitation, just steady forward motion. Brooks steps into her path. I need to inspect your equipment before you shoot. She stops, looks at him, doesn't speak. Regulations? Brooks continues, voice tight. Any shooter using personal weapons must submit to pre-qualification inspection. Open the case. She sets it down, flips the latches. Brooks kneels examining components. Stock, receiver, barrel, scope. He checks serial numbers, examines mounts, measures trigger pull. Everything passes. His frustration mounts with each regulation-compliant item. Finally, he closes the case. Fine. You're cleared. He stands. But understand this, you're shooting at 1,000 meters today, not 800. Different wind, different elevation, different everything. 3 attempts, 5 shots each. Minimum score 45 out of 50 to pass. And this time we've got cameras on every angle. She picks up the case. Walks to lane 3. Sets up without a word. The crowd presses closer. Someone jokes about needing binoculars to see her miss. The atmosphere turns carnival-like. The range safety officer calls procedures. Shooter, you have 10 minutes to prepare. 3 attempts, 5 shots per attempt. Minimum score 45 to qualify. Range is hot. You may begin when ready. Vera settles into position. Checks the scope. Makes adjustments, methodical, unhurried. The rifle settles onto the rest. Breathing begins. 4-4-4. Brooks leans toward Kane. Watch. First shot will be off. Classic amateur mistake at this distance. The first shot breaks clean. Downrange 1,000 meters away, the target camera displays the impact. Center ring, 10 points. Brooks blinks. Lucky. Wind assisted. Watch the next one. Second shot. Same mechanical rhythm. Target camera shows another center hit. 10 points. The crowd quiets. Jokes stop. People lean forward. Third shot. Fourth. Fifth. Each lands center ring. Perfect group. 50 out of 50. First attempt. Brooks stares at the monitor. His face goes pale. Check the rangefinder. Something's wrong. Ellis keys the radio. All systems confirmed accurate. Range is 1,000 meters plus or minus 0.3. Calibration verified this morning per protocol. Kane steps forward, eyes locked on the display. 5 holes forming a cluster smaller than his fist. At 1,000 meters, with variable wind. His mind races connecting dots. The breathing, the posture, the precision. This isn't just skill. Attempt 2, the safety officer calls. Brooks holds up a hand. Wait. Change conditions. Move her to lane 5. Ellis's voice crackles sharp. Lieutenant, that's not protocol. I'm invoking safety officer discretion. Lane 3 has wind shadow from the berms. Lane 5 is fully exposed. If she's as good as she claims, it won't matter. Kane nods slowly. Do it. Vera stands without comment. Walks to lane 5, sets up again. Same preparation, same checklist. The crowd follows, murmuring. This is irregular. This is pressure. She doesn't react, just sets up, settles, breathes, 4-4-4. Lane 5 sits fully exposed. Flags downrange snap harder, showing gusts to 10 miles per hour. The angle is different too, requiring adjustments. Brooks counts on this, on breaking whatever lucky streak she had. 5 shots, same rhythm, same precision. 5 more center hits. Another perfect 50. 100 out of 100 total. The crowd falls silent. No jokes, just stunned attention. People pull out phones, recording. This is becoming a story people will tell. Brooks drops his clipboard. Third attempt. No, Kane says quietly. No more attempts. She's qualified. More than qualified. He steps closer. Who trained you? Vera doesn't look up. Various instructors, sir. That's not an answer. It's the answer you're cleared to receive, sir. Kane's jaw tightens. I want your identification, your full service record, right now. She finally looks at him, stormwater eyes flat and calm. I don't think you do, sir. Not here. Not in front of everyone. That wasn't a request. Brooks moves closer. Show us your ID. Show us your orders. Show us anything proving you're supposed to be here, because I'm starting to think you're running some kind of scam. He reaches for her arm, intending to pull her to her feet, to force compliance. His fingers close around her left forearm, gripping tight. When he pulls her sleeve rides up, the tattoo becomes visible, clear, undeniable. Scope reticle. Crosshairs. The number 847. Text Death Angel. Dates 2018 to 2021. The JSOC insignia underneath. Brooks freezes, hand still on her arm, but stopped moving. Just staring. His mouth opens. Nothing comes out. The crowd erupts in whispers. Those close enough to see point. Someone gasps. Ellis has gone white, gripping the console. He knew, suspected, but seeing confirmation is different. He keys the radio. All personnel stand down. I repeat, stand down. Kane stares at the tattoo. His face cycles through confusion, disbelief, recognition, horror. His lips form a word that doesn't come out. Then louder, 847! She pulls her arm away. Brooks lets go like he's been burned. She rolls the sleeve back down. But the damage is done. Everyone saw. Ghost. Kane's voice barely whispers. Then louder as memory crashes into him. Your ghost. The silence is absolute. 50 people frozen. The name. Ghost. The number, 847. The dates ending in 2021. The woman dead for 3 years, standing before them. Breathing. Alive. Undeniable. An older man pushes through the crowd. Master Sergeant Lynn, retired, who drove from Mesa at Ellis's request. He stops 10 feet away, looks at the tattoo still partially visible, and his face transforms. Recognition. Respect. Awe. Death Angel, Lynn says quietly. Operation Silent Dawn, Afghanistan 2020. You pulled Kane's team from that valley. 30 hostiles down in 6 minutes. Longest confirmed shot 1,200 meters. His voice roughens. They said you died in Kabul. Vera stands slowly, faces Kane directly. I'm Captain Vera Cross. JSOC Sniper Operations 2018 through 2021. 847 confirmed eliminations. Her voice is steady, clear, cutting through the shocked silence. And you, Admiral Kane, are in immediate danger. Kane steps back. What are you talking about? The same network that killed my father, Brigadier General David Cross, in 2016, is targeting you. They know you're scheduled to testify before Congress next month. They know you have evidence. They're planning to eliminate you before that happens. Brooks finds his voice shaky, defensive. That's insane. That's... Lieutenant Brooks, how long has your family been receiving threats? Vera turns to him. When did the photographs start arriving? The ones showing your wife Sarah leaving work, your children Emma and Lucas at school. Brooks goes rigid. His face drains of color. How do you know those names? Because the same people threatening them sent me to die in Kabul. They've been using you, putting pressure on you to sabotage anyone getting close to Kane. They have your family right now, and they're using you to ensure Kane dies before he testifies. The clipboard falls from Brooks's hands. He's shaking. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't... Warehouse, south side of base, 2 guards outside, 3 inside with the hostages. Vera's voice is clinical, precise. You've been getting encrypted messages for 6 weeks. First small things, reports, schedules, then escalation. Instructions to interfere with anyone showing unusual interest in Kane. Yesterday when I showed up, they told you to make sure I failed publicly. Brooks backs away. His face is collapsing. I didn't have a choice. They said they'd kill them. They showed me proof. I had to. I know, Vera says quietly. That's why I'm here, to get them back. Kane processes everything. The woman he thought dead, the network he thought dormant, the threat he didn't know existed. If this is true, why hide? Why not come directly to me? Because I needed to know who the traitor was. I needed the network confident enough to move openly, and I needed you to see me shoot before I told you what was coming. She looks steadily at him. 5 years ago in that valley, you asked over radio who I was. I said it didn't matter. You just needed to stay alive. Same situation now, Admiral. You need to stay alive long enough to testify. I'm here to make sure that happens. Lynn steps forward. Captain Cross, what do you need? Extract Lieutenant Brooks's family. I have 43 minutes before they're moved to secondary location. After that, we lose them. She turns to Brooks. I can get them back, but you help me. Tell me everything. Right now. Brooks is crying openly now. 6 weeks of terror. Impossible choices, being crushed between protecting family and betraying oath. Finally breaking through. Warehouse, Industrial District, South Side. I don't know the exact address. They blindfolded me when they showed me they were alive. I know where it is, Vera says. I've been surveilling the network for 3 months. I know their safe houses, protocols, personnel. She looks at Kane. I need your authorization to conduct hostage rescue on U.S. soil, within base perimeter. Now, sir? Kane doesn't hesitate. You have it. What else? I need Lieutenant Brooks with me, and you stay here, surrounded by witnesses. Until this ends, the network won't move on you while there's a crowd. She pauses. And I need Rangemaster Ellis to pull security footage from 3 months ago. Any vehicles entering the industrial area between 0200 and 0400 hours. The person running this network is on this base. High rank, trusted, operating in plain sight. Ellis is already moving. On it. Kane looks at Vera. Really looks, seeing past the uniform to the person underneath. The woman who saved his life, who spent 8 months in hell, who's been hunting her father's killers for 16 years. Why didn't you just tell me when you arrived? She meets his eyes. Because I needed you to understand who I am before I asked you to trust me. Yesterday you saw a nobody. Today you know I'm Ghost. The woman who saved your life. The woman who doesn't miss. And now I'm asking you to trust me one more time. She pauses, voice dropping. 8 years ago, my father and you were investigating procurement fraud together. Partners. He found evidence of a corruption network embedded in military procurement and intelligence. The night before he was going to brief the Secretary of Defense, someone planted a bomb under his car. Kane's face has gone ashen. David Cross was my friend, my partner. When he died, He stops. I knew it wasn't mechanical failure, but I had no proof, and I was scared. I had a wife, kids, so I stayed quiet, told myself there was nothing I could do. I know, Vera says quietly. That's why I'm here now. Not for revenge, not for recognition, but because the same network that killed my father is coming for you, and this time I have the skill, the training, and the evidence to stop them. But I need you alive to testify. I need Brooks to choose redemption over fear. And I need 42 minutes to pull off a hostage rescue that saves 3 innocent people and breaks this network open. Brooks wipes his face. If you're lying, then your family dies, and Kane dies, and the network wins. Vera picks up her rifle case. But I'm not lying, Lieutenant. I'm giving you one chance to fix this. To be on the right side when it matters. To save your family and help me finish what my father started. She pauses. Are you coming or not? Brooks looks at Kane. The Admiral nods once. Go, bring them home. He pauses. And Brooks, you made impossible choices under impossible pressure. But now you get a chance to make it right. Take it. Brooks straightens slightly. Yes, sir. The crowd parts as Vera and Brooks move through. Lynn falls in behind them. 3 other veterans who recognize what's happening follow, without being asked. By the time they reach the parking area, it's a 6-person element. They load into 2 vehicles. Vera drives the lead. Brooks beside her. As they pull out heading south toward the industrial district, the sun breaks over the eastern horizon. Golden light floods the desert. 41 minutes until hostages move. Inside the vehicle, Brooks breaks the silence. His voice is raw. How did you know about Emma and Lucas? About Sarah? I've been watching you for 3 weeks, watching everyone connected to Kane. Vera doesn't take her eyes off the road. I saw the change. The way you started looking over your shoulder. The way you stopped eating lunch with the other officers. The way you'd check your phone every 5 minutes like you were waiting for bad news. I thought I was hiding it. You were, from everyone who wasn't looking for it. She glances at him. The network chose you because you're good, because you have a reputation, because sabotaging Kane through you would look like legitimate concern instead of conspiracy. I should have gone to someone. They would have killed your family the moment you did. You know that. They showed you proof they had them. They gave you specific instructions. They made it clear what would happen if you deviated. Vera's voice softens slightly. You did what any father would do. You protected your children. By betraying my oath. By sabotaging you. By staying alive long enough for someone to help. That's what you did. She takes a turn, tires squealing slightly. And now you're helping me finish this. That's what matters. Brooks is quiet for a moment. Then, that tattoo, 847. That's confirmed kills, yes. Jesus. Most were enemy combatants, high-value targets. People planning attacks, running weapons, coordinating terror cells. Vera's jaw tightens. 23 were connected to my father's death. People in the network. People who thought they were untouchable. And the rest, the mission, orders, the job. She pauses. I was good at it. Too good, maybe. They kept sending me out because I never missed. Never hesitated. Never came back without completing the objective. Until Kabul. Until Kabul, she confirms. They sold me out. Set me up. The entire op was designed to get me killed or captured. When it was capture, they figured that was good enough. Interrogate me, find out what I knew about the network, then dispose of me. But you got out. I got out. Her voice goes flat. And I spent 3 years becoming someone else. Someone they thought was dead. While I tracked every single one of them. Built a case. Gathered evidence. Waited for the right moment to expose them all at once. Brooks stares at her. You've been planning this for 3 years. 16 years. Since I was 13. Since I watched my father die. Vera's hands tighten on the wheel. 3 years ago, I just finally had the skills to do something about it. Lynn leans forward from the back seat. Captain, what's the tactical situation at the warehouse? 2 exterior guards, rotating shifts every 4 hours. Last rotation was at 0600, so they're fresh. 3 interior guards with the hostages. All armed, but not expecting trouble. The network thinks they're invisible. Vera pulls up a mental map. Single entry point in front. Service door in back, but it's chained from inside. Windows on the east side, but they're high and barred. So we go through the front. We go through the front, quiet. Trank rounds if possible. We're not here to kill anyone. We're here to extract hostages and capture operatives for interrogation. And if they resist, then we adapt. Vera's voice is cold. But priority one is Brooks's family. They come out alive. Everything else is secondary. Brooks's phone buzzes. He pulls it out, looks at the screen. His face goes white. "What is it?" Vera asks. "Message from them." His voice shakes. It says time's up, moving package to secondary location. You had your chance. Vera checks her watch. We're still 12 minutes out. They're moving them early. They know something's wrong. Or they're bluffing, trying to force you into a mistake. She presses the accelerator. Either way, we're going in. Hold on. The vehicle surges forward. Vera weaves through traffic with precision that comes from chase training in hostile territory. Every movement calculated. Every decision instant. Brooks grips the dashboard. If we're too late, we're not too late. Trust me. How can you know that? Because I've spent 3 months learning how this network operates. They're methodical, careful. They don't deviate from protocols unless absolutely necessary. That message is designed to panic you, to make you do something stupid. Vera takes another turn. They don't know I'm coming. They don't know you're with me. They think they're still in control. Lynn checks his weapon. What about the person running this? You said they're on base, high rank. Colonel Diane Frost, Deputy Commander of Fort Davidson. Brooks's head snaps around. Colonel Frost. That's impossible. She's trusted, respected, been at Davidson for 8 years, has an impeccable service record. Vera's voice is grim. That's why she's perfect. Nobody suspects her. Nobody questions her access. She's been feeding intelligence to the network since before my father died. She's the one who orchestrated the Kabul bombing. She's the one holding your family. How do you know it's her? Because I've been tracking money, communications, movement patterns. Every piece of evidence points to her. And 3 days ago, I watched her meet with a known network operative in a parking lot off base. They thought they were being careful. They were wrong. Brooks processes this. When we get there, when we have her, what happens? She testifies, gives up every name, every account, every piece of evidence, in exchange for a deal instead of spending the rest of her life in Leavenworth with no protection. And if she refuses, she won't refuse. People like Frost don't go down quietly when they realize the alternative is irrelevance. She'll talk to stay relevant, to be the one who brings it all down. Vera's eyes are hard. She'll talk. They always do. They're close now. The industrial district appears ahead. Warehouses and storage facilities. Mostly empty during off hours. Vera pulls to a stop 3 blocks out. Kills the engine. We approach on foot. 2 teams. Lynn, you take east side with Martinez and Chen. Brooks and I go in front. Kerrigan provides overwatch from that water tower. She points. Non-lethal takedowns if possible. But if anyone threatens the hostages, you drop them. Clear. Everyone nods. Comms check. They test the radio headsets. All functional. We've got 9 minutes before their 30-minute window closes. If they're really moving the hostages, that's when it happens. We need to be in position in 4 minutes. Extraction complete in 8. Vera looks at each of them. Brooks's family comes out alive. That's the only acceptable outcome. Everyone understand? Yes, ma'am. They move out. Quick. Quiet. Professional. The warehouse comes into view. Exactly as Vera described. 2 guards outside. Smoking. Weapons slung casual. Vera and Brooks approach from the front. Lynn's team circles around. The guards don't see them coming until it's too late. 2 suppressed shots. Tranquilizer rounds. Both guards drop. Vera catches one before he hits the ground, lowers him gently. Brooks does the same with the other. "Front clear," Vera whispers into comms. "East side clear. No additional contacts." Vera approaches the door. Doesn't breach dramatically. She picks the lock, opens it slowly. Silence is a weapon, too. Inside, 3 men sit playing cards at a table. Behind them in a corner, Sarah Brooks and 2 children sit bound but unharmed. The men don't have time to react. Vera's element moves like water, smooth, fast, overwhelming. Within 15 seconds, all 3 are on the ground, flex-cuffed, disarmed. Sarah is crying, pulling her children close. But Vera isn't done. She moves to a back office, rifle ready, kicks the door open. Inside, a woman sits at a desk. 52 years old. Gray hair pulled tight. Uniform bearing the insignia of a full colonel. Diane Frost. Deputy Commander of Fort Davidson. Trusted, respected, and the architect of the entire network. Frost looks up calmly. "Captain Cross, I wondered when you'd figure it out." "Stand up. Hands where I can see them." Frost stands slowly. "You know this doesn't end anything. I'm one node. The network is bigger than you realize." "Maybe. But you're the node that killed my father. You're the node that sold me to the Taliban. You're the node that ends today." Vera's voice is ice. "And you're going to testify. You're going to give up every name, every account, every piece of evidence. Because the alternative is spending the rest of your life in a cell at Leavenworth with no deal, no protection, no hope." Frost smiles coldly. "You think I'm afraid of prison?" "No, but I think you're afraid of irrelevance, of being forgotten, of dying in a cell while the network moves on without you." Vera steps closer. "Testify and you get to be the one who brings it all down. Your name in the history books, the whistleblower. Refuse, and you're just another corrupt officer who got caught. Your choice, Colonel." For the first time, something flickers in Frost's eyes. Fear, maybe, or calculation. "On your knees," Vera says quietly. "Hands behind your head." Frost hesitates. Then slowly she kneels. Lynn moves in, cuffing her. Outside, Brooks sees his family emerge. Sarah runs to him, children clinging. He drops to his knees, pulling them close, sobbing. I'm so sorry, I should have— You saved us, Sarah whispers. That's what matters." Vera exits last, Frost walking ahead of her in cuffs. Kane has arrived with military police. Helicopter overhead. The base is locked down tight. Kane approaches Frost. Face hard. "Why? Why kill David Cross? Why target me? Why betray everything you swore to protect?" Frost says nothing. "Answer me," Frost finally speaks. "Because the system is broken. Because the people at the top get rich while the people at the bottom die. Because someone needs to profit from all this chaos. And it might as well be us." Kane's voice drops. "Us? You said us. Who else?" Frost smiles, doesn't answer. Vera steps forward. She'll talk. They always do when the alternative is watching their empire collapse from inside a cell. Military police load. Frost into a vehicle. Load the 5 captured men into another. Medical personnel check Sarah and the children. Shaken, but unharmed. Brooks approaches Vera slowly. In front of everyone, he drops to his knees. "Captain Cross, I humiliated you, doubted you, sabotaged you while you were protecting my family, while you were stopping the people who would have killed Admiral Kane. while you were finishing what your father started. His voice breaks. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm asking for it anyway. Because you gave me back everything that matters. Vera looks down at Brooks kneeling before her. His face is wet with tears. His children are watching confused and scared. Sarah stands behind him, one hand on his shoulder. Stand up, Lieutenant, Vera says quietly. I don't deserve... Stand up. Her voice is firm, but not harsh. Brooks rises shakily. He can't meet her eyes. You were put in an impossible situation. You made mistakes. But when it mattered, you chose to help. You chose to trust me. She pauses. Your family is safe. That's what matters. Go be with them. Brooks nods, unable to speak. He turns back to Sarah and the children. Emma wraps her arms around his legs. Lucas buries his face in his father's chest. Kane steps forward. For a long moment, he just looks at Vera. Then slowly, deliberately, he comes to attention. Salutes. Captain Cross, on behalf of the United States Navy, on behalf of every person you've protected and saved, on behalf of your father, who would be proud beyond measure, thank you. Vera returns the salute. Just doing my job, sir? No. Kane's voice roughens. You did far more than your job. You carried a burden no one should carry. You hunted killers while being hunted yourself. You sacrificed everything, your identity, your peace, your chance at a normal life, to finish what David and I started 8 years ago. He drops the salute. And I'm sorry. Sorry I didn't have the courage to keep going when David died. Sorry I stayed silent while you fought alone. Sorry it took you coming back from the dead to make me remember what honor actually means. You're testifying now, Vera says quietly. That takes courage. Only because you gave me the chance. Only because you saved my life twice. Once in Afghanistan. Once here. Kane pauses. What happens now? Now the evidence goes to Congress. Frost's network unravels. 12 officers under investigation by this evening. 20 more by week's end. The procurement fraud, the intelligence leaks, all of it comes into the light. Vera glances at the sunrise. My father's death finally means something. The system he believed in finally works. And you, what happens to Captain Vera Cross? I testify, then I disappear again. Ghost was always meant to be temporary. Kane's expression tightens. You've earned a Medal of Honor. A promotion. Recognition. I don't want recognition, sir. I want my father's killers in prison. I want the network broken. I want you alive to testify. She meets his eyes. Mission accomplished. She starts to turn away. Vera. Kane's voice stops her. She turns back. Your father told me something the night before he died. He said, if anything happens to me, tell Vera she doesn't have to be a soldier. Tell her she can just be my daughter. Tell her that's enough. Vera's eyes close briefly. When she opens them, they're wet. Thank you for that, sir. Kane takes a breath. Will you consider staying? The military needs people like you. People who can't be bought or scared or broken. The military has people like me. They just need leaders like you to protect them. She offers a faint smile. 847 confirmed kills. I think I've done my share. Time to let someone else carry the rifle. Kane nods slowly, extends his hand. She shakes it. Ellis approaches radio in hand. Captain, we've got a problem. Security footage from 3 months ago shows multiple vehicles entering the industrial area during the target window. But one of them... He pauses. One of them belongs to Colonel Hendricks, Judge Advocate General's office. Vera goes still. Show me. Ellis pulls up the footage on a tablet. Sure enough, a black sedan with base plates registered to Colonel Marcus Hendricks pulls into the industrial area at 0237 hours. Stays for 18 minutes. Leaves. Hendricks, Kane says slowly. He's been on base for 6 years. He's the one who reviews all court-martial cases. He has access to everything Vera finishes: personnel files, security clearances, classified operations. She looks at Kane. If Hendricks is part of this, then the network has legal cover. They've been able to bury investigations, dismiss charges, make problems disappear through official channels. We need to arrest him immediately. No, Vera's voice is sharp. If we move on him now, he'll lawyer up. Claim the footage is circumstantial, deny everything. We need him to make a move, to panic. How do we do that? We let him think Frost is talking. We leak information that she's cooperating with investigators, that she's giving up names. Vera's mind is racing. Hendricks will reach out to his contacts, try to coordinate a response, and when he does, we'll be listening. Kane considers this. You're asking me to run a counterintelligence operation against a senior JAG officer without authorization. I'm asking you to finish what my father started, what you both started 8 years ago. Vera holds his gaze. You've come this far. Don't stop now. Kane is quiet for a moment. Then he nods. Ellis, I need a secure line to G2. Now. And I need a surveillance team on Hendricks within the hour. Yes, sir. As Ellis moves away, Lynn steps up beside Vera. You knew about Hendricks. It's not a question. I suspected, Vera admits. The legal protections the network enjoyed were too consistent, too thorough. Someone with JAG authority was providing cover. Why didn't you mention it before? Because I needed Frost first. She's the operational commander. Hendricks is the legal shield. But Frost has the detailed knowledge, the accounts, the operations, the personnel. Once she talks, Hendricks becomes expendable to the network. That's when he'll make mistakes. Lynn studies her. You've been playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. I've been playing survival. There's a difference. Brooks approaches Sarah and the children now in a military police vehicle being taken to safety. His face is haggard but determined. Captain Cross, I want to help. Whatever you need, I owe you that. You owe me nothing, Lieutenant. You protected your family. That's what any good father does. I betrayed my oath. I sabotaged you. You survived 6 weeks of psychological warfare conducted by professionals who have been running operations for decades. Vera's voice softens. You held on long enough for help to arrive. That's not weakness. That's strength. Brooks wipes his eyes. What do you need me to do? Go to the hospital. Stay with your family. Make sure they're safe. She pauses. And when this is over, when you're ready, tell your story. Tell other junior officers what happened. How you were targeted. How you fought back. Because this network didn't just use you, they've used dozens of others. People who are still trapped. Still scared. Still thinking they're alone. Brooks straightens. I can do that. I know you can. As Brooks walks away, Kane returns. G2 is sending a team. They'll have surveillance on Hendricks in 40 minutes. But there's something else. His expression is troubled. I got a call from the Secretary of the Navy. News is already spreading about what happened here. The hostage rescue, Frost's arrest, your identity. How much does he know? Enough. He wants you in Washington for a debriefing. Tomorrow morning. Vera's jaw tightens. I'm not going to Washington to be paraded around like some hero. That's not why I did this. I don't think that's what he wants. I think... Kane stops. I think he wants to make sure you're protected. Once this story goes public, you'll be a target again. The network will come for you. Let them come. I've survived worse. Vera, you can't fight this alone anymore. You've exposed the network. You've given us everything we need to dismantle it. But that means you're vulnerable now. They know you're alive. They know what you're capable of. They'll try to kill me, I know. Vera's voice is flat. They've been trying to kill me since I was 13 years old. I'm still here. They're not. Kane looks at her for a long moment. Your father used to say the same thing. That stubbornness. That absolute refusal to back down. He pauses. It got him killed. No. Trusting the wrong people got him killed. Going through official channels got him killed. Believing the system would protect him got him killed. Vera's eyes are hard. I won't make the same mistakes. Then what will you do? What I've always done? Adapt, survive, complete the mission. Lynn interrupts. Captain, we've got movement. Frost is asking to speak with you, privately. Vera exchanges a glance with Kane. That was fast? Too fast, Kane agrees. She's been in custody less than an hour. Which means she's scared, or she's playing an angle. Vera considers. Either way, I want to hear what she has to say. They move to one of the military police vehicles. Frost sits in the back, hands still cuffed. Her expression is calm, but there's tension in her shoulders. The officer opens the door. Vera climbs in. The door closes behind her. For a moment, neither woman speaks. You're not what I expected, Frost says finally. What did you expect? Someone angrier, someone less controlled? And Frost tilts her head. I read your file after Kabul, the psych evaluations. They said you were broken, unfit for duty, a liability. They were wrong. Were they? Frost's smile is thin. Because from where I'm sitting, you look like someone who's been running on rage and revenge for 16 years. Someone who's sacrificed everything: relationships, stability, peace for a mission that was never going to bring your father back. I didn't do this to bring him back. I did this to make sure his death meant something. And does any of this mean something? Frost leans forward. You've arrested me. You've rescued Brooks's family. You've exposed part of the network. Congratulations. But the network isn't going away. There are too many people invested in keeping it alive. Too much money at stake. Too much power. That's why you're going to testify. Give us every name, every account, every operation. Frost laughs. You think I'm going to betray people who will kill me the moment I open my mouth? You think witness protection will keep me safe from an organization that has assets in every branch of government? I think you're smart enough to realize that staying silent guarantees your death. At least cooperation gives you a chance. A chance at what? Living in a safe house under an assumed name for the rest of my life? That's not living. That's just a different kind of prison. Vera leans back, studies her. You didn't ask to speak with me to negotiate. You already know your options. So what do you want? Frost's expression changes, becomes more serious. I want you to understand something. Your father didn't die because he found evidence of corruption. He died because he trusted the wrong person with that evidence. Vera goes very still. What are you saying? I'm saying David Cross showed his evidence to someone he thought was his ally. Someone he thought would help him bring it to the Secretary of Defense. Frost pauses. That person sold him out, set up the car bomb, made it look like mechanical failure. And that person is still in a position of power, still protecting the network. Who? That's what you're going to trade for my testimony, isn't it? The name of the person who actually killed your father. Frost's smile is cold. Because it wasn't me. I coordinated operations. I provided legal cover. But I didn't plant that bomb. Someone else did. Someone David trusted completely. Vera's heart is pounding. 16 years. 847 kills. 3 years of hunting. And the person who actually murdered her father is still unknown. Tell me the name. Not yet. First I want guarantees. Full immunity, witness protection, and relocation outside the United States. Frost's eyes are calculating. Give me that, and I'll give you everything. The name, the evidence, the entire network laid out in detail. I can't authorize that. I'm not. Then get someone who can. Because this offer expires the moment we leave this vehicle. Once I'm in a cell, once lawyers get involved, once the bureaucracy takes over, I go silent. And you'll never know who really killed David Cross. Vera's mind races. Frost is playing her, using her father's death as leverage. But if there's even a chance she's telling the truth, if there's someone out there who's been protected all this time. She opens the door, steps out. Kane is waiting. What did she say? She wants full immunity and witness protection in exchange for information. Claims she knows who actually planted the bomb that killed my father. Someone David trusted. Kane's face darkens. That could be anyone. It could be you, Vera finishes. It could be you, which is exactly what she wants me to think. Sow doubt. Create division. Make me question everyone. Do you question me? Vera looks at him. Really looks. At the man who's been fighting to stay alive. Who authorized a hostage rescue based on nothing but her word. Who's willing to testify before Congress even knowing it might cost him everything. No, she says finally. I don't question you. But someone in your circle 8 years ago betrayed my father, and Frost knows who. Then we give her what she wants. We get the name. It's not that simple. Immunity requires DOJ approval. Witness protection requires federal marshals. The moment we start that process, the network will know. They'll move to silence her before she talks. Kane thinks. What if we don't go through official channels? What if we make the deal directly record her testimony, get the evidence, and then present it as a package to DOJ? That's illegal. So is half of what you've done in the last 3 years. Kane's voice is urgent. Vera, if she knows who killed your father, if that person is still out there, then we can't let this opportunity slip away. Your father deserves justice, real justice. Vera is torn. Every instinct screams that Frost is manipulating her. But the possibility, the chance that she might finally know the truth. I need to think. We don't have time to think. Frost said her offer expires once she's in a cell. Then we put her in the cell and let her expire. I'm not making deals with the person who sold me to the Taliban, who coordinated operations that killed American soldiers, who might be the only person who can tell you who actually murdered your father. Kane grabs her arm. Vera, I know this is hard. I know you want to do this by the book, but sometimes the book doesn't work. Sometimes you have to do what my father didn't trust the wrong person. Vera pulls her arm away. That's what Frost wants. She wants me emotional, desperate, willing to make deals I shouldn't make. Ellis runs up. Admiral, we've got a problem. Hendricks just left his office. He's heading toward the industrial area. The surveillance team is following, but he's going to the warehouse, Vera says immediately. He doesn't know Frost has been moved. He's going to try to clean up evidence, or coordinate with whoever's left. Kane turns to Ellis. Get military police to that location now. I want him intercepted before he reaches it. Yes, sir. As Ellis runs off, Vera makes a decision. I'm going too. Vera, you don't need to. Yes, I do. Because when we arrest Hendricks, I want to see his face. I want to know if he's the one. She pauses. If he's the one Frost is talking about. Kane nods. Then let's go. They move quickly. Lynn and 2 other veterans join them. The drive takes 8 minutes. When they arrive, military police have already surrounded the warehouse. Hendricks is inside. Alone. Through the windows, Vera can see him moving through the office. Searching. Looking for something. He's destroying evidence, Lynn mutters. No, Vera says. He's looking for something Frost kept, something he needs. Kane keys his radio. "All units move in. I want him in custody, now." Military police breach the door. Hendricks spins around, startled. He reaches for his weapon but thinks better of it when he sees 4 rifles pointed at him. "Colonel Hendricks, you're under arrest for conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and suspicion of involvement in the murder of Brigadier General David Cross." Hendricks goes pale. "This is a mistake. I don't know what you think you have, but security footage, financial records, testimony from Colonel Frost." Kane's voice is steel. "It's over, Colonel." But then Hendricks does something unexpected. He laughs. "Testimony from Frost. You're basing this on the word of a woman who's coordinated operations for 8 years, who's responsible for dozens of deaths." He shakes his head. "She'll say anything to save herself. You know that. Then you'll have the opportunity to refute her claims. In court, under oath. I want my lawyer." "Of course you do." Kane nods to the military police. "Take him." As they cuff Hendricks and lead him away, he looks directly at Vera, and something in his expression, recognition maybe, or calculation, makes her blood run cold. "You're David's daughter," he says. "I remember you. You were just a kid when he died." "I remember you too," Vera says quietly. "You came to the funeral. Told my mother what a great man he was. How sorry you were." "I was sorry. David was a good officer, a good man." "Then why did you help kill him?" Hendricks's expression doesn't change. "I didn't kill David. I tried to save him, but he wouldn't listen. He wanted to go public with evidence that would have destroyed careers, ruined lives. I tried to convince him to work within the system, to be patient, but he wouldn't." "So you had him killed?" "No. Someone else made that decision. He stops himself. "I want my lawyer." As military police put him in a vehicle, Vera turns to Kane. "He's lying. About some of it, but not all of it." "What makes you say that?" "Because he didn't deny knowing about the bomb. He just denied planting it. He tried to shift blame, which means he knows who did it." She pauses. "And he's scared." Kane's radio crackles. Ellis's voice. "Admiral Frost is asking for Captain Cross again. Says she watched the Hendricks arrest on the newsfeed. Says she's ready to deal." Vera and Kane exchange glances. "She's been playing us from the beginning," Kane says. "She knew we'd arrest Hendricks. She knew he'd panic. She's using this to strengthen her negotiating position. Or she's genuinely ready to talk because she knows Hendricks will try to pin everything on her." Vera thinks. "Either way, we need to hear what she has to say." They return to the detention facility where Frost is being held. This time Kane comes with her. Frost looks up as they enter. "Hendricks is in custody. Good. That makes this easier." "Makes what easier?" Kane asks. "The truth." Frost takes a breath. 8 years ago, your father came to 3 people with his evidence. You, Admiral Kane, Marcus Hendricks, and me. Kane goes rigid. "You're lying. David never. He came to you first, showed you the procurement fraud, the intelligence leaks. But you got scared, told him to slow down, to be more careful." Frost's voice is clinical. "So he went to Hendricks thinking a JAG officer could help him build a legal case. Hendricks seemed interested, asked for copies of the evidence, said he'd review it." "And you?" Vera asks. "He came to me last, told me he didn't trust Hendricks, thought something was off, asked me to help him verify the evidence independently." Frost pauses. "I agreed, and then I told the network everything." The room goes silent. "You," Vera says, her voice is shaking. "You sold him out." "I coordinated the operation, but I didn't plant the bomb. That was Hendricks." Frost meets her eyes. "Your father figured it out. Realized Hendricks was part of the network. Confronted him the night before he was supposed to brief the Secretary of Defense. Hendricks panicked. Called me. I made the decision to eliminate the threat. Vera's hands are clenched into fists. Every muscle in her body is screaming to lunge across the table, to make Frost pay for what she did. But she doesn't move. Why are you telling me this now? Because Hendricks will try to make a deal. He'll claim I acted alone, that he was trying to stop me, that he's a hero. Frost's smile is bitter. I'm not going down alone. If I'm testifying, I'm taking everyone with me. Hendricks, the 12 officers you mentioned, and the person at the top, the person who's been running this network for 20 years. Kane leans forward. Who? Frost looks between them. That information costs full immunity. In writing. From the Attorney General. And witness protection starting immediately. You don't get to dictate terms. Then you don't get the name. And the person who's been pulling the strings for 2 decades walks away clean. Frost's eyes are hard. Your choice, Admiral. Justice for David Cross or playing by rules that don't work. Vera turns away, walks to the corner of the room. Her father's face flashes through her mind. 13 years old watching the news footage. The burning car. The funeral. The promises she made. 847 kills. 16 years of hunting. 3 years of being dead. All for this moment. And now Frost wants to trade the final piece, the ultimate truth, for freedom. Vera turns back from the corner. Her face is calm now. Resolved. No deal. Frost blinks. Excuse me, I said no deal. You don't get immunity. You don't get witness protection. You get to spend the rest of your life in a cell at Leavenworth. Vera's voice is cold final. And I'll find the person at the top without you. You're bluffing. You need me. I need justice, not deals with murderers. Vera steps closer to the table. You coordinated the operation that killed my father. You sold me to the Taliban. You held Brooks's family hostage. You've spent 8 years profiting from corruption while good soldiers died. She pauses. I don't negotiate with people like you. I eliminate them. Frost's composure cracks slightly. You think you can find the network's leader without me? It's taken you 16 years just to get this far. Then I'll take another 16 if I have to. But I won't give you freedom to get there faster. Kane touches Vera's arm. Can I speak with you outside? They step into the hallway. Kane closes the door. Vera, I understand how you feel. But if Frost can give us the person at the top, at what cost we make a deal with a traitor? We let someone who killed American soldiers walk free. Vera's voice rises slightly. My father wouldn't have wanted that. He believed in the system, in doing things the right way, and that belief got him killed. The words hang between them. I'm not saying we should be naive, Kane continues. But sometimes to get real justice, you have to make hard choices. Choices that don't feel clean, but get results. Like the choice you made 8 years ago, when my father came to you with evidence and you told him to slow down. Vera's eyes are hard. He died because people made hard choices. Because they prioritized their own safety over doing what was right. Kane flinches. That's not fair. Isn't it? You just admitted it. He came to you, showed you everything, and you were scared, so you told him to wait, to be careful. And while he was being careful, the network moved. They killed him. Vera's voice drops. I don't blame you for being afraid. I blame you for not fighting back afterward, for letting his death go unanswered, for 8 years. You're right, Kane's voice is rough. I was a coward. I let fear win, and I've regretted it every single day since. He pauses. But you have a chance now that I didn't have then. A chance to expose everyone. To make sure your father's death actually means something. Are you really going to throw that away because you don't want to compromise? Vera is quiet for a long moment. The weight of 16 years presses down on her. 847 kills. 3 years of being dead. All leading to this moment. What did my father say to you that last time you saw him? Kane closes his eyes. He said, "If something happens to me, don't let them get away with it. Promise me you'll finish this." And I promised. But then he died, and I broke that promise because I was afraid. And now I want to keep it, however I can. Kane opens his eyes. Even if it means making a deal I hate. Even if it means giving Frost something she doesn't deserve. Because the person at the top, whoever they are, they need to answer for David's death. For all of it. Vera looks at him. Really looks. She sees regret there. And guilt. But also determination. If we do this, if we make this deal, I want guarantees. Frost testifies. Gives us everything. Every name, every account, every operation. And then she goes into witness protection where she can't hurt anyone else. Agreed. And when we get the name of the person at the top, I want to be there when we arrest them. Kane nods. I wouldn't have it any other way. They return to the interrogation room. Frost looks up, expectant. You get your deal, Vera says. Full immunity, witness protection. But you testify first. Everything. On record. And if you lie, if we find out you held anything back, the deal is void and you spend the rest of your life in a cell. Understood. Frost exhales slowly. Understood. I want it in writing, from the Attorney General. We'll get it, but you start talking now, while we wait for the paperwork. Kane pulls out a recording device, sets it on the table. Who's at the top of the network? Frost looks between them. Then slowly she speaks. Vice Admiral Richard Carver, Naval Operations, based at the Pentagon. The room goes silent. Kane goes white. That's impossible. Carver is one of the most respected officers in the Navy. I know. Frost's voice is flat. That's why he's perfect. Nobody questions him. Nobody investigates him. He's been running this network for 20 years. Started small procurement kickbacks, contract fraud. But it grew. Intelligence leaks, weapons trafficking, using military operations to move drugs and money. By the time your father stumbled onto it, the network was worth billions. Vera's mind is racing. Carver, I've heard that name. You should have. He was your father's commanding officer. The man David trusted completely. The man he was going to brief right before he died. Frost pauses. David never made it to that briefing because Carver gave the order to kill him. Kane sinks into a chair. Jesus. Carver was at David's funeral. He spoke. Said David was one of the finest officers he'd ever commanded. And he meant it, which is why he had him killed. Because David was good. Because David wouldn't stop digging. Because David was about to expose everything. Frost's eyes are cold. Carver doesn't kill lightly. He only eliminates threats he can't control. How many others? Vera asks. 12 officers over 20 years, all made to look like accidents or suicides, all buried under layers of bureaucracy and classified operations. Frost leans forward. Carver is careful, methodical. He doesn't leave evidence, doesn't communicate directly, uses layers of intermediaries, people like Hendricks and me, to insulate himself. Then how do we prove it? Because I kept records, insurance, files that detail every operation, every transaction, every communication. Frost's smile is thin. Hidden, encrypted, and accessible only to me. Kane's jaw tightens. Where? That's part of the deal. I give you the location once the immunity agreement is signed and witness protection is in place, not before. Vera wants to scream, wants to reach across the table and make Frost give up the information now. but she forces herself to stay calm. How long will the paperwork take? Kane pulls out his phone. With the evidence, we have the testimony from Hendricks. Once he starts talking to save himself and Frost's cooperation, I can have it by tomorrow morning. But Carver will know something's happening. Once Hendricks is arrested, once Frost is in custody, the network will start moving to protect itself. Then we move faster. We get the immunity agreement expedited. We get Frost's files, and we arrest Carver before he can disappear. Vera looks at Kane. Can you make that happen? I can try, but Carver has resources. If he runs, if he goes underground, we may never find him. He won't run, Frost says. He's too arrogant, too confident in his protections. He'll think he can weather this, that his position will shield him. Then we use that arrogance against him. Vera's mind is working. We leak information that Frost isn't cooperating, that she's refusing to talk, that we've hit a dead end. Why would we do that? Because if Carver thinks he's safe, he'll make a move. He'll try to tie up loose ends, and when he does, we'll be watching. Kane considers this. It's risky. If he figures out it's a trap, he won't, because he thinks he's smarter than everyone else. He's been getting away with this for 20 years. He won't believe he can be caught. Frost is watching Vera now with something like respect. You're not just a shooter. You're an operator. I'm my father's daughter. He taught me to think 3 moves ahead. Vera stands. We do this my way. We set the trap. We wait for Carver to make his move, and then we take him down. The next 6 hours are a blur of activity. Kane works his contacts at DOJ pushing for expedited immunity agreements. Ellis coordinates surveillance teams. Lynn and the other veterans maintain security around Frost and Hendricks. Vera watches it all unfold with quiet satisfaction. The pieces are falling into place. At 1800 hours, Kane's phone rings. He listens, then looks at Vera. Hendricks is talking. He's trying to cut a deal, offering to testify against Frost in exchange for reduced charges. Let him. The more people pointing fingers at each other, the better. It builds a comprehensive picture for prosecutors. He also confirmed Carver's involvement. Said Carver gave the order for your father's death. Said he only coordinated logistics. Vera's hands clench. Does he know about Frost's files? No. He says all evidence was destroyed after operations. That's how Carver maintained security. Then Frost's files are the only physical evidence connecting Carver to everything. Kane nods, which makes her the most valuable asset we have, and the biggest target. As if on cue, alarms blare. Ellis runs up. We've got a situation. Armed team just breached the east perimeter. 6 shooters, professional, heading toward the detention facility. Vera is already moving. Carver's making his move. He's trying to eliminate Frost before she can testify. Security teams are responding, but not fast enough. Where's Lynn? North side. He's got 2 men with him. Get them to the detention facility, now! Vera grabs her rifle case from Kane's vehicle. I'm going to the roof. I'll have overwatch. Kane grabs her arm. Vera, you can't. Yes, I can. This is what I do, Admiral. Let me do my job. She's gone before he can respond, moving fast, taking stairs 3 at a time, reaching the roof of the administrative building in under 2 minutes. From here, she has a clear view of the detention facility. The armed team is approaching from the east. 6 shooters just like Ellis said, moving in tactical formation. Professional. Vera sets up quickly. Rifle assembled, scope adjusted. Range calculated. 400 meters. Not her longest shot by far, but complicated by the fact that she needs to be selective. Can't just eliminate everyone. Needs to leave some alive for interrogation. She settles into position. Breathing. 4 for 4. The lead shooter reaches the detention facility door, places a breaching charge. Vera's first shot takes him in the shoulder. Non-lethal, but incapacitating. The team scatters. Professional discipline. They don't panic. They find cover and return fire in her direction. But they're firing blind. They don't have her position yet. Second shot. Another shoulder hit. Second shooter down. Third shot. Leg hit. Third shooter hobbling to cover. Now they've found her position. Rounds start impacting the rooftop. Concrete chips flying. Vera doesn't flinch. Just adjusts. Breathes. Fires. Fourth shot. Another leg hit. Lynn's team arrives. 3 veterans with decades of combat experience. They engage the remaining shooters from ground level. Vera provides overwatch. 5th shot. 6th shot. Within 3 minutes, all 6 shooters are down. 4 wounded. 2 dead from Lynn's team returning fire. Military police swarm the area. Medics tend to the wounded. The detention facility is secure. Vera descends from the roof. Kane meets her at the bottom. That was... He stops. You just saved Frost's life. I saved the case. There's a difference. Vera hands him her rifle. Question the wounded. Find out who sent them. I want confirmation it was Carver. Ellis approaches. Captain, one of the shooters is talking. Says they were hired through a private military contractor. Orders came from someone at the Pentagon. No name given, just authorization codes. Can we trace the codes? Already working on it. 2 hours later, they have their answer. The authorization codes trace back to a classified account controlled by Vice Admiral Richard Carver. Kane stares at the evidence. This is it. This is what we need. It's not enough, Vera says. It's good. But Carver can claim his codes were stolen, that someone framed him. We need Frost's files. Kane turns to Frost, who's being held in a secure room, now extra guards posted. Where are the files? Frost looks at the immunity agreement on the table. Signed by the Attorney General. Countersigned by the Secretary of Defense. Safety Deposit Box. Bank of America. Arlington, Virginia. Box number 4721. Key is hidden behind a loose brick in my quarters on base. Ellis is already moving. I'll get it. 20 minutes later, Ellis returns with a small key. Within 3 hours, federal agents have retrieved the contents of the safety deposit box. 5 hard drives, encrypted. But Frost provides the decryption keys. What they find is devastating. 20 years of evidence, financial transactions, communications, operation details, names, dates, accounts, everything. And at the center of it all, Vice Admiral Richard Carver. Kane sits at his desk reading through the files. His face is grim. This is bigger than we thought. Carver wasn't just running procurement fraud. He was coordinating with foreign intelligence services, selling classified information, sabotaging operations. He looks up at Vera. Your father stumbled onto something that threatened national security at the highest levels. Then we arrest Carver, tonight. I've already made the call. FBI is coordinating with Naval Criminal Investigative Service. They're moving on Carver at 0600 tomorrow morning. Lord Kane pauses. I told them you'd be there. Vera nods. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Carver is dangerous. Even cornered, he's not going down easy. I've taken down 847 targets. One more won't be a problem. Kane's expression softens. This isn't about adding to your count. This is about closure. About finally getting justice for your father. I know what it's about, sir. The next morning, Vera rides in an unmarked vehicle with FBI agents. Kane is in a separate vehicle. They converge on Carver's residence at 0558 hours. The house is large. Expensive. The kind of home a vice admiral with 40 years of service can afford. Or the kind a corrupt officer with 20 years of illegal profits can buy. At exactly 600, The FBI knocks on the door. Carver answers. 63 years old, gray hair, sharp eyes, wearing a dress uniform like he's preparing for an early meeting. He sees the FBI, sees Kane, sees Vera, and his expression doesn't change. Admiral Kane, to what do I owe the pleasure? Vice Admiral Richard Carver, you're under arrest for conspiracy, procurement fraud, intelligence leaks, and the murder of Brigadier General David Cross. Carver's eyes narrow. That's a serious accusation. Do you have evidence? 20 years worth. Financial records, communications, testimony from multiple witnesses. Kane steps forward. It's over, Richard. For a long moment, Carver just stands there. Then he smiles. David's daughter. I remember you. You were at the funeral. Quiet little thing. So angry. He looks at Vera. I told your father he was making a mistake, that he should work within the system. But he wouldn't listen. He wanted to be a hero. He was a hero, Vera says quietly. You're just a murderer. I'm a pragmatist. I saw an opportunity to profit from a broken system and I took it. Your father wanted to fix the system. Noble, but naive. Carver's smile fades. He would have gotten a lot of people killed with his crusade. I stopped that. By killing him. By making a hard choice. The kind of choice leaders have to make. Carver pauses. You think you're different? You think those 847 kills were all righteous? You're a killer just like me. We just have different justifications. Vera steps closer. I killed enemies of this country. You killed patriots who trusted you. I killed threats, just like you. But Carver's eyes are cold. We're the same Captain Cross. We both do what needs to be done. No, we're nothing alike. Because when this is over, I'm going to walk away and try to live a normal life. You're going to spend the rest of yours in a cell. The FBI agents move in. Cuff Carver. Read him his rights. As they lead him away, he looks back at Vera one last time. Your father was proud of you. Did I mention that the last time I saw him? He talked about his daughter, how smart she was, how determined. Carver's voice is almost gentle. He would have hated what you became. A ghost. A weapon. Exactly the kind of thing he was fighting against. Vera's jaw tightens, but she doesn't respond. Because he's right. Her father wouldn't have wanted this for her. Wouldn't have wanted her to spend 16 years hunting. To become Death Angel. To sacrifice everything for revenge disguised as justice. But he's also wrong, because she didn't do this for revenge. She did it so other people wouldn't have to. So other daughters wouldn't watch their fathers die unavenged. So the system could be forced to work, even when it didn't want to. Carver disappears into the FBI vehicle. Gone. Kane approaches Vera. It's done. Really done. Carver will testify to avoid the death penalty. His testimony will bring down the entire network. 12 more officers arrested by end of week. 20 more under investigation. What about Frost? Already in witness protection. New identity. Relocated outside the country. She'll never hurt anyone again. Kane pauses. And Hendricks? 30 years. No parole. Kane's voice is satisfied. He tried to make deals, but we had too much evidence. He's finished. Vera nods slowly. 16 years of hunting. 3 years of being dead. And now finally it's over. What about Brooks? Cleared of all charges, his family is safe. He's requested assignment to a mentoring program for junior officers. Wants to help others who might face similar situations. Kane smiles slightly. You made a difference in his life. In a lot of lives. I just did what needed to be done. No, you did more than that. You exposed a network that's been destroying lives for 20 years. You gave victims justice. You honored your father's memory. Kane pauses. What happens now? What does Captain Vera Cross do next? Vera is quiet for a long moment. I retire, officially this time. Find a quiet place. Try to figure out who I am when I'm not hunting. The military will want to recognize you. Medal of Honor, promotion, press conferences. I don't want any of that. I want privacy. I want peace. You've earned it. Kane extends his hand. Thank you, Vera, for everything. For finishing what your father started. For saving my life. For reminding me what honor actually means. She shakes his hand. You testified. You faced your fear. That took courage, too. 3 months pass. Congressional hearings conclude. Carver receives life in prison. 4 other colonels receive sentences ranging from 20 to 35 years. 12 more officers face court-martial. The network is shattered. Broken beyond repair. Brooks returns to duty. His family is safe. He starts an informal mentoring program that becomes official within 6 months. Helps 3 junior officers who were being similarly blackmailed to come forward. Kane testifies for 6 hours over 2 days. Delivers evidence that reforms procurement oversight across all branches. He retires with full honors 3 months later. Establishes the Brigadier General David Cross Memorial Scholarship for children of fallen officers. Ellis retires from his range master position. Moves to Arizona. Spends his days teaching marksmanship to veterans. Never forgets the day he watched Death Angel shoot perfect groups at 800 meters. Lynn and the other veterans who helped with the hostage rescue receive commendations. They meet monthly now, a brotherhood formed in crisis. And Vera Cross officially retires from military service. She declines the Medal of Honor. Give it to someone still fighting, she tells the awards board. But she accepts promotion to Major in recognition of 16 years of service. Accepts it because her father would have wanted her to. Because it honors his memory properly. She buys a small house in New Mexico. Quiet. Isolated. The kind of place where neighbors don't ask questions, and sunsets are the only predictable thing in life. On her desk, partially opened, sits a letter from the Secretary of Defense, thanking her for her service, offering her a position with naval intelligence if she ever wants to return. She sets the letter aside. Not interested? Not now. Maybe not ever. The rifle case sits in her closet, cleaned, maintained, ready, just in case. Because some instincts don't fade. Some training never leaves. But for now, she's just Vera. Daughter. Veteran. Survivor. She steps onto her porch to watch the sunset over the desert. The sky bleeds orange and red. Beautiful. Peaceful. Her phone rings. Unknown number. She almost doesn't answer. But something makes her pick up. Captain Cross? The voice is familiar. Encrypted. Careful. This is a civilian line. We know. We also know you've retired. But there's a situation developing. One that requires your particular skill set. A pause. It's completely voluntary, but it's important. And time-sensitive. Vera closes her eyes. She knew this was coming. Knew that retirement doesn't really exist for people like her. That there's always one more mission, one more target, one more impossible situation that requires Death Angel's precision. I'm retired. We understand. But this involves the people who sold you to the Taliban, the remaining network cells that escaped prosecution. They're planning something big, and you're the only one who knows how they operate. Vera's jaw tightens. The faces flash through her mind. The basement room. The 8 months of torture. The men with blank faces who thought they'd broken her. Send me the details, I'll think about it. Thank you, Captain. The line goes dead. Vera stands on her porch for a long time, watching the sun disappear below the horizon, thinking about her father, about the promise she made 16 years ago, about justice and revenge and the thin line between them. Maybe retirement was always going to be temporary. Maybe people like her don't get to walk away. Maybe the mission never really ends. It just pauses long enough to catch your breath before the next one begins. She turns and walks back inside, opens the closet, looks at the rifle case. Not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But when the call comes, when the mission demands it, Death Angel will answer. Because some promises don't expire. Some debts never close. Some skills are too valuable to let rust. And Vera Cross, for all her attempts at normalcy, was built for this. Forged in grief, tempered by pain, sharpened by 16 years of hunting. She closes the closet door. Not opening it yet. Not ready. But when she is, when justice calls again, she won't miss. Not at 800 meters. Not at 1,000. Not at any distance that separates her from the people who need stopping. Because that's who she is. That's who she'll always be. Not just a daughter. Not just a soldier. But the woman who finishes what others can't. Who fights when fighting seems impossible. Who delivers justice to those who thought they were beyond its reach. Death Angel doesn't miss. And she doesn't quit. She just waits patient and deadly for the moment when silence must break, and the final shot must be fired, and justice at last is complete.